Good afternoon, everyone from sunny Ampfield. Thank you for joining our State of the Cybersecurity in 2026 webinar. My name's John. I'm the Commercial Director of HB Tech, and shortly you'll be hearing from Nick, who's from Arctic Wolf. Just to let you know that we are recording this. It's a webinar set up as a Teams webinar, so you will be muted, but if you have any questions, then type them in the Q&A. I will keep an eye on them, and then if there's any, I shall jump in and ask Nick the questions if there's any questions that need answering. Other than that, I'm going to hand over to you, Nick.
Yeah, thanks, John, and good afternoon, everyone. John, can you see my screen? Just confirm that it's doubly there.
Yep, I can totally see your screen. It's fine.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today. I'm glad to be a guest speaker here on HB Tech's webinar. My name is Nick. I run pre-sales engineering here for a cybersecurity company called Arctic Wolf. We're the leader in security operations. And today I'm going to be running you through the state of cybersecurity in 2026. Going to be taking a look at some of the threat research that we've recently done, but also maybe some recommendations on reducing cyber risk and some takeaways that you can take into your businesses. So I am broadcasting today live from a meeting space in London. So it is a live webinar, so things do happen, unfortunately. So if there is I don't believe there's any alarms or fire alarms or anything of that sort happening today, but if it does happen, we'll roll with the punches as it takes place. But the plan for today is to walk through the cybersecurity threat landscape and some emerging trends that businesses of all shapes and sizes can take away that we've seen in our threat research for the last 18 months. We'll then apply some practical learnings and how security operations can assist with some of these threats, and the role of AI and security expertise in 2026 and beyond. So I want to open up with cybersecurity is, and the way that we think about cybersecurity here at Arctic Wolf is it's really more of a cyber risk perspective. And it's a cyber risk perspective that takes place all the way up at the board level. So cybersecurity isn't something that's contained within information technology. Cyber risk is now ultimately a key business risk that's called out on end of year reporting and within all sorts of organizations, large and small, because it really does have a huge impact in the bottom line, the reputational damage, and also the way of doing business for most organizations today in both the public sector and the private sector. And in last year alone, globally around the world, there was $20.9 billion lost to cybercrime. And that's not in a single vertical or a single segment. This is looking at all segments, all verticals around the world. And the problem with this is it's exponentially increasing. So in 2024, it was 16 billion. In 2023, it was 12 billion. We are spending more money than ever on cybersecurity technologies and tools and products. Last year, there were over 4,000 security vendors and products. Last year, there was over 213 billion spent on cybersecurity tools and products, which is a 10% year-on-year increase. But yet we're still losing more money than ever to cybercrime. It was a 26% compound increase from 2025. So what we're doing today effectively isn't really working, and we need to have a better way of thinking about how we're going to address cyber risk within the organization. And when we take a look at the threat landscape, so here at Arctic Wolf, we do about 1,000 incident response cases per year around the world. And we're typically working with cyber insurers and cyber brokers and cyber insurance carriers of all sizes across multiple countries around the world to help their customers respond to cyber threats. And so we're brought in when that organization is having the worst day or the worst week or even the worst months of their organizational kind of lifespan, because of the attack that they're suffering. And so this is some learnings of what we've seen in the real world over the last 18 months. And so in that workflow that we've done, we typically see ransomware or data extortion is typically the number one thing that everyone is concerned about, everyone is hyper aware of. Ransomware effectively is where your organization is encrypted. devices are locked up. There is no way of accessing any of your data. There is no way of actually getting your business up and running because all your devices are down. Typically what happens is data, sensitive data or confidential data is also extracted from your organization as well. And then they ask for, they essentially ask for payment in order to give you the decryption key so that you can get your company back up online. In 2025 and 2026, all of the incident response cases that we responded to, about 48% of those related to some sort of ransomware, encryption of the organization, or data being extorted, extracted, and then blackmailed from the organization in terms of getting payment. What we also saw in the last 18 months is host intrusion or network-based access. So we're getting better in a wider security industry at stopping threats and stopping things like ransomware attacks. And so what we're seeing now is there is a huge tail of organizations that are in the early stages of being breached. Possibly there is infiltration, there's intrusion, there's reconnaissance, and there's maybe some data extraction, but there was no ransomware deployed within the organization. So 26% of all the cases that we responded to related to that. And then the final one is probably the one that everyone really needs to be aware of, which is something called business email compromise. This is where a threat actor carries out an attack via an end user's account, email, Teams, maybe iMessage, WhatsApp. This is the way of convincing a employee who isn't in IT. This would be someone in finance or marketing or operations or an admin user who essentially is doing something that they shouldn't be doing. So it could be wiring money to the wrong kind of sort code or account number. It might be buying gift cards. It might be convincing someone to do something they typically wouldn't do. And this includes full account control, spoofed emails, but this is where the rise of AI is really taken into account, because this is where AI campaigns of simulating voice, simulating video, simulating or mimicking emails or instant messages or WhatsApps to convince people to do things that they should be doing. And so from a ransomware perspective, we always hear of ransomware being the main thing that everyone should be concerned about. However, when we start looking at ransomware and network intrusion cases, the reason why most organizations are breached today is typically because of the external access within their environment. So it's not someone coming in and plugging in a USB key. It's not a nation state who are trying to breach your organization with hoodies up that are trying to, hack you 24/7. Attackers are lazy. And so if you've got a external problem on your firewalls or internet access that allows an attacker to be able to log in and not breach you within a few clicks, that's the way that they're going to do it. And so from all the cases that we responded to last year, external remote access and breaching that remote access is the low-hanging fruit. And it's the reason why most organizations were popped. Known vulnerability was 16%. And that's where if you've got your virtual private networks or you've got an admin account with internet access, if you're reusing credentials or passwords, again, this is easy things that threat actors are able to breach you by. And then for business email compromise, that way of manipulating users or humans to do something they shouldn't do, this is really where you see phishing. So the crafted emails that come into your mailbox. But also we see things here like instant messaging phishing. So someone that's federated to you via Teams that might have privileged access that then can message you to do something that they wouldn't normally expect you to do. Or maybe mimicking being the CEO or someone on the board to do something with some urgency because you're going to kind of lose a big deal or you're not going to sign the latest contract, for example. So manipulating someone with urgency to do something that they wouldn't normally do, or to actually understand that you might handle money, you might handle contracts, you might handle payments, that they're understanding what money and contracts you have and then convincing them to wire that legitimate money from one bank account to another bank account. And so the motivation is clear here. It's all about money. It's not about, some of it's about reputation, and they really want to be, build a reputation in the industry, but really This is all about just building money and financial motivation. So in ransomware cases, yes, you see the big news across the large organizations, Harrods, Jaguar Land Rover, Marks and Spencer in 2025. But actually, the majority of attacks are in the small and medium business, because if they can attack 15 to 20 small and medium businesses easily, they're not going to then go and spend 6 months trying to get into a Jaguar Land Rover, unless, again, they're easy to get into. And so it's imperative that organizations of all shapes and sizes protect themselves against the emerging cyber threats. So you see here, you can see that the top industries for ransomware in 2025 and even 24, manufacturing was top of the pile. You can see that legal and government was number 2, education and nonprofit, unfortunately, is number 3. And by the way, these threat actor groups, they have no conscience. It doesn't matter if they attack a public organization or a private organization. You can see there that healthcare is also then number 4. For business email compromise, this is where you see institutions that typically handle contracts and money. So finance, insurance, business services, legal, government. And again, you can see there, education and nonprofit, again, sadly, is number 3. And ransomware, by the numbers, is interesting because in 2024, they had a huge initial ransom demand. So typically what threat actors would do is they would look and do reconnaissance in your annual reports and your balance sheets and your confidential information to understand how much money you're making from a profit. And then they would typically align their initial ransom demands above that, expecting you to then negotiate down. So in 2024, the initial ransom demand for most organizations was $600,000. But then you can see here that the decrease of that demand was about 31%. In 2025, in last year, they changed their tactics. And what they did is, instead of going high and then were negotiating down, they were trying to become more realistic on day one, because they were believing that if they were more realistic on day one, people might trust them and might end up paying them to go away. And so the initial ransom demand from a median last year was about $400,000. Scarily, last year, $16 million and change was paid in ransom. Now, we will never advise whether you pay the ransom or not. That is entirely your decision, or it might be taken out of your hands, and it might be the cyber insurer's decision, or maybe the board of directors' decision. But ultimately, this is how you are going to operate your business. Do you have the ability to get your business back online should you have a ransom attack? How long is it going to take you to get back online as well? And what is the fallout of that in terms of it might be reputational damage, it might be share price, it might be working with your clients then on. Some organizations have a policy that if you're in the supply chain and you are hit with a cyber attack, they have a policy that they won't work with you for 48 months. So you know, to be able to prove that you have all of those workflows in place. And a closer look at the criminals, these are financially motivated groups. They're not gangs, they are actual organizations that function just like any other business. They have shifts that have set working times. They have bonuses and holidays. They have pensions and benefits. These have different departments like technical support and management and human resources even. And a few of these groups function like franchises, where they essentially work with each other. So one would do one piece of the attack, and then they would then outsource to another part to then do the other part of the attack. But the sad state of affairs is they will target everyone and anyone. They do not just go after nation states or large accounts or big names. Yes, some do, but the majority are just going at the low-hanging fruit and anything they can possibly get into. Most like money, some like notoriety. So when you start seeing Instagrammers, TikTokers, influencers, things with like fast cars, high-end dinners, champagne, all of that kind of stuff, that's how they draw the next generation of people in to want to work with them, because they're able to offer that kind of lifestyle. And so in 2026, we are predicting and we are now seeing the rise of machine speed threats. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in this month, in April 2026, Anthropic released a new technology called Mythos. And this is the essentially the latest LLM kind of technology. And when they released this in preview, they were shocked to find out that this technology was able to go and scan the public internet and was able to find and discover thousands upon thousands of vulnerabilities that have never been discovered before across every major operating system, web browser, and application technology that exists on the public internet. So you think about every vendor, from laptop vendors, server vendors, application vendors, web browsers, SaaS platforms, the lot, this technology was able to go and discover brand new 0 days that had never been breached and never been understood previously. And these had found all thousands of vulnerabilities that every single security vendor and tool had been missing for the best part of 20, 30 years. This even dates back to some of the known most secure operating systems that have existed from the early 90s, some of the operating systems that critical banking infrastructure still run today. And so this was actually put on preview and paused, and Anthropic then invited all of those vendors to then join a project to go and secure that technology to make sure that all those vulnerabilities were fixed, and then the threat actors weren't able to breach them. And this isn't hype, this is reality, because last week, the UK Artificial Intelligence Security Institute, in their testing, were able to find that using that preview, it was the very first artificial intelligence technology that was able to run an entire attack from end to end, including deploying ransomware, chaining together all of those vulnerabilities without being detected. So this now is the threat that we are facing, and we're facing it from every single organization, large and small. The rise of the machine speed threat, which is able to completely mitigate and bypass all security defenses from every tool and technology, be able to exploit all the applications and tech that we have in place today, and be able to then run the entire steps from an attack perspective without being detected. So this is where we're at. And the UK government put an open letter out to all business leaders last week that everyone must have a robust cybersecurity strategy that isn't just based upon a few products or tools. It's a holistic, living, breathing cybersecurity posture strategy, thinking about risk, vulnerability management, detection and response, and actually having partnerships to be able to help you work through this in the real world. And this matters now. This is happening today, and it's happening now. So threat actors love AI because right now it's allowing them to essentially build phishing campaigns to target your end users, which are incredibly hard to discover. They are able to use AI to do reconnaissance across your organization and across your business, and they can build campaigns to essentially socially engineer your users using voice manipulation, video manipulation, and that can all go through the mediums of like WhatsApp, it can go through Teams, it can go through any instant messaging technology that you use today. AI also makes it incredibly harder to distinguish malicious activity from legitimate behavior that you typically see today. So now, historically it was easy to spot phishing. Now it's scarily hard to figure out what is real and what is kind of malicious from a phishing perspective. And the final one is it's lowered the barrier of entry. Anyone can build a phishing campaign today. You can have someone that doesn't speak any native English, and within a few prompts, you can build a fully English website mimicking Amazon.com or something else, with a threat actor campaign, with reconnaissance, with phishing, and essentially getting people to do things they wouldn't typically do. So we are facing the real threat with threat actors using AI today, and this is happening right now. And the reality for us as defenders is that effectively we're trying to struggle with using AI in our workforce. But as we found in the real world of using artificial intelligence, it's very hard to trust what AI is telling you, because we see AI hallucinations. We see AI costing significant amount of money, in terms of token usage, token sprawl, and people are building AI models, but actually pilots never really make it to production. So in the world of security, what you can't have is guessing. And the problem with AI and artificial intelligence, and if you've ever used Copilot or any other tools, is things are very confident even when it's guessing. And you're unsure about whether you're correct or not because it sounds very convincing, even though it's a guess. In security, you can't guess. You need to be absolutely certain, 100%, this is A or it's B, because that guess could be fatal if it gets it wrong. And it's very high barrier to entry. It's very difficult to deploy. And also it's exponentially way more expensive and very hard to measure any return on investment. And so the right solution for security to help us with what's really happening is we need a open agentic platform where security operations can be built upon that's right for your organization, that doesn't have you locked in to a certain vendor or a certain workflow. So you should be able to build and bring the vendors and the technology that you use across your organization and trust that you're going to have the right outcomes delivered to you from a security perspective. So it's built to be outcome driven. It's all about owning the security outcome and that security risk posture by understanding how your organization is built, how it operates, what its unique risk factors are, how you do business, and also what the roadmap of development and growth of your organization is. And then the final one is to make sure that you are up to speed, but also you're protected from the new incoming threat, that machine speed, to help you get that confidence that whilst you may never have seen a threat of machine speed today, knowing that you're covered for it tomorrow because you're in with a security partner that's working with thousands of organizations across multiple industries, geographies, and sizes to know where the emerging threats are really coming from. And that's what we do here at Arctic Wolf. So we are the world's largest commercial security operations center. We today service 10,000 customers from a security operations, detection and response, and a human-led cybersecurity posture engineering capability. We operate across the globe. You can see all the different countries that we operate in today, over 100 different countries. Servicing, and we work through trusted partners. So we have over 2,200 partners globally as well. And we are tried and tested and proven. We are leaders within IDC. This past month, we were ranked the highest rated on Gartner's Peer Insight for detection and response out of all the vendors in the industry. And we are fully certified and give you that confidence that we are fully credential backed and we're certified and we have the security and governance behind the scenes. Here in Europe, we've been operating in the EMEA market now for 5 years. I was one of the very first employees going back April 2021. Today, we're securing over 2,500 organizations of all shapes and sizes. Our smallest customer is around about 10 users. Our largest customer is around about 15,000 to 20,000 users, and it kind of all a mix and match between from different verticals and different industries. We offer European data residency here from Frankfurt, and we operate European eyes on glass with our security operations centers in Frankfurt and in Cork as well. So we do give you compliance and regulation checkboxes for operating here in Europe, but we are a global organization headquartered in the United States. So we get the best of both worlds. We get the global visibility of threats and the global kind of understanding of what the emerging threats really are, but we're able to operate with a regional kind of view and lens to make sure that we give our customers the best security, the best privacy, and the best compliance too. And so really here at Arctic Wolf, our vision isn't to have our customers buy another tool or a product. It's about focusing more on how we can help you address and mitigate risk. So it's not just about buying products or tools, it's about powering you and empowering you with the extraordinary talent that we have here in the organization, coupled with our partners at HB Tech. So here in the business, we employ over 1,000 security practitioners, and we have a further 1,000 security engineers in the business. And that means that we're always building and developing and empowering our customers with the knowledge, with the skills, and with the expertise that they need to be able to work and combat these new threats that are on the horizon. But it's also about how we can help you with transferring ancillary risk. So there will always be risk in your organization. And so therefore, it's about having a knowledge of, if I can use Arc2Wolf and I can offset risk in some way, what could that monetary value be? So we offer our customers the ability to have better insurance capability, for example, through brokers that recognize Arc2Wolf, or even carriers. Typically, our customers get somewhere in the region of 15 to 25% reduction on their insurance premiums just by using Arc2Wolf. And you can offset that premium reduction against the money that you buy or spend on Arc2Wolf to be able to mitigate the risk in your organization. And so what we do here in the organization is we are able to interface and interact with every single piece of technology across your attack surface, across all of the different vendors and the tools and the technology stack you have today. We ingest all of that visibility from all that technology. We have our turnkey solution that starts yielding the knowledge from 10,000 clients working 24/7, 365. We're building new detections and new innovation. We're building new threat intelligence about the emerging threats. We call that the security operations graph. We're always building, we're at the bleeding edge, building new intelligence and new detections of threats that we see, so that we're not waiting for you to be affected before we start reacting to that threat. We are an agentic AI platform. So our technology operates on over 300 different types of security agent that operates in a swarm. And what that means is we're not relying on just human beings to detect threats or to respond to threats with you. We're using series of AI agents to operate at machine speed. So as we start seeing maybe the start of an attack, like we saw with Mythos, our machine agents are working in swarms to be able to detect that within a matter of milliseconds, not hours or days or weeks. And then with AI, the challenge with AI is, can you trust it? So we've built a proprietary AI trust engine where the AI can't guess. And we have a human in the loop that sits within inside the swarm. And effectively what that does is it means that we yield extremely high efficacy, high guarantees of true detection logic and true positives, but also making sure that our machine learning and AI isn't guessing within your organization. And we deliver that turnkey to you through the agentic SOC, those 1,000 security practitioners that are now working for you 24/7, detecting, containing, responding to threats, but also working programmatically with you to move your security posture forward by giving you the latest knowledge, the latest threat intelligence, and the latest changes or tuning in your environment to make sure that you're always adapting and flexing away from what potentially could be the next worst day in your organization. And we do that through different outcomes that you can see on the top of the screen. So we have different ways of consuming what Arc2Wolf do here. So depending on your security posture and where you are on your security maturity, with Arc2Wolf, we can start as little as giving you the best of breed technology, where we can work with you on endpoint security capability, giving you visibility of attack surface management, so understanding what assets and what devices exist within your organization that you may not know of or may not see today. And also we have incident response. You can have our incident response retainer from Arc2Wolf. So you can buy essentially the guarantee that we will cover you for a full security incident end to end within a single 12-month part of that incident and part of that retainer. You could then start looking at stage 2, which is actually then having managed security services. So we can offer the ability to manage those tools for you for managed endpoint security or managed attack surface management and vulnerability management. And then as you mature and progress through your cyber essentials maturity, or even start looking at the cybersecurity resilience bill from the government coming in, you may be starting to think about, how can I holistically get full coverage of my environment for detection and response? You may be thinking about, how can I start building a security operations program? And finally, you might be thinking about, I want to turnkey now build a security outcome, and I want a partner to drive that security outcome end to end within my organization. And that's what we can do through a combination of our services that yield the best outcome for our customers. So the problems that we solve. With Arc2Wolf, we are absolutely helping you protect and defend against threats at machine speed. We are doing this today. We are doing this for 10,000 customers. What's cool about this is you are getting the latest innovation in agentic AI. with a turnkey solution that goes live in 30 days or less, without the huge need of building this yourself and hiring the staff and actually going through tool fatigue or tool replacement. So with our technology, we work with the tools and technology that you have today. If you have maybe a mixed bag of security products and tools that you can't replace because they're still under contract, we typically can work with them and get the outcome that you're looking for. We can help you with the limited access to security talent. It's very hard to hire security expertise, and it's even harder to retain them because they need to be trained and skilled and up to speed with the latest emerging threats. We do that so you don't have to. We have 1,000 practitioners, like I've said, but we also then put each of those practitioners on 80 hours worth of industry training and internal training every single year. So they're always up to the latest speed on what's going on, so they're able to transfer that knowledge directly to you. And because of that, that then gives you efficiency and spend realization, because you're now getting more bang for your buck. You're not just getting another tool with a GUI, you're now getting a security outcome. You've now got a trusted partner that's working with you to help your cyber insurability, to help the resiliency, to help the compliance, and to help with things like cyber essentials or even the upcoming cybersecurity and resilience bill. And so the flexibility that we bring now is an open platform that works with the tooling and the technology that you already have. It's about bringing as much visibility from all of these attack surfaces that you operate in. So whether you have on-premises servers and endpoint devices, or whether you've migrated fully to a cloud platform for Azure or maybe 365, whether you're using a combination of on-premises network devices, or whether you have hosted offices, or even you shut your offices and everyone works remotely. It's about having visibility across your identity providers, your external risks and assets, your cloud environments and your SaaS platforms, and bringing all that together as first-party telemetry to build detections on. And so that's what we do here at Arctic We are spending a huge amount of time and money building integrations into the market-leading tools and technologies so you don't have to. We don't charge for integrations, or we don't charge for kind of you bringing the tools and the tech that you need to. We license on the amount of users and the amount of servers, either on premises or in a public cloud. So as you flex and as you change, as you ebb and flow, as you add and remove different technologies, best of breed or platformization in your environment, we can work with you integrating those and delivering the best security outcome that our customers are looking for. And what really our customers want is they want us to own the security outcome. They want us to remove the noise. They want to remove the alerts. They want to stop being reactive and now being proactive. And on average, for our customers, we typically yield a single true security alert per customer per day. Whereas historically, most of our customers are getting somewhere in the region of 50 to 150 security alerts a day that they have to work through and understand what's going on. And the amount of data that we're doing to handle that is staggering. So today, we're handling 9 trillion security events per week. It's just over 900 billion a day. And you can see what that is in relation to the amount of global emails sent, or even the amount of Google searches that occur. So we really are operating on a global scale, but we're protecting our customers 24/7 against those threats that we see, the campaigns that we see, but also having you protected for what's coming in the next weeks and in the next months. So what we do here at Arctic, we give you typically onboarding to our platform where you can get within 30 days or less a fully onboarded solution that gives you a fully agentic SOC, which gives you incredible ticket quality, better case resolution, but also all the while saving money and getting and yielding value and return on investment from the investments that you make. So this is really transformative. For what we do here, there's no one else in the industry that is yielding the right outcome with the right security model, protecting you for what's happened in the past, but also what's coming up. And here's just a great example as to what we do. We detect things before vendors typically detect them. So this is an example of what happened in January. We saw an observation of new attacks happening within Fortinet. Fortinet make the FortiGate firewalls. They are fantastic firewalls. There is no shade on Fortinet whatsoever, by the way, on this. Fortinet is just one example, but this happens with Palo Alto, Cisco, SonicWall, the list goes on. We saw within 4 days, we saw an observation of kind of a muttering of things happening with a surge over the weekend. We were building detections and responses to be able to help our customers away from that. At the same time, we then flagged this to Fortinet's own threat research team. Bleeping Computer, which is an industry-wide security publication, documented this and understood this. Then we started to see more campaigns happening with Fortinet as well. So we were working to be able to respond to those in real time. But it took Fortinet around about a week to be able to issue the public advisory about what to do. And then you could see that the US CISA then addressed that to advise all the organizations. So from our organization, we were able to detect that, and we caught it extremely early in that attack cycle. By January 21st, we already put into production detections that stopped this from happening for all of our customers. And our customers were protected pretty much a week before Fortinet were even announcing kind of the what was happening with their customers at scale as well. And so the benefit of this is you're not just getting a tool and technology and agentic AI and everything's wonderful. That's important, but it's really about the skilled human expertise. It's about having the partnership to know what to do with your security posture. It's about being able to adapt and change on the fly. So people believe, and it's well documented, they believe that AI is going to replace human jobs. It's going to replace the barrier to entry, right? The kind of the front line. It allows human beings to level up and skill up and do things that they're probably better skilled to do. And that's what we do here at Arc2Wolf. So we have 1,000 security practitioners here that we call concierge engineers. We give every customer 3 security practitioners, and their job is to proactively work with you to improve and benchmark and move your security posture forward through what we call security posture reviews. They are named experts to your organization. Their job is to understand your specific context, the knowledge that you operate in, have that documented, but also to give you confidence that we're working with you from a cybersecurity outcome perspective. So this isn't just a regular vendor with support where you pick up the phone and dial 1 and then leave a voicemail and hope someone calls you back. This is all about having named expertise that are injected into your organization to tell you the context as to what's going on, to work with you in the light of a security incident or a threat, but also then help you with things like reporting and knowledge and skills and kind of enhancing the organizational kind of maturity of the business. So these concierge engineers work with you on a strategic perspective. So their job is to work with you on maturing your business, to prioritize the work that you want to do, to implement security advice for you, to help you with compliance, and to give you incident follow-ups. So these are highly skilled security practitioners. They're typically anywhere from 10 to 20 years in cybersecurity, have worked with lots of different organizations, large and small, and their job is to effectively help you on reducing your cyber risk, helping you with insurability of your organization, yielding security value, and helping you with eliminating blind spots. So these are the security practitioners that are just incredibly hard to hire. We will give you a team of 3 named experts that will work with you on a scheduled basis, typically monthly, but they could be, kind of every 2 weeks if you like, or even every quarter if you want it as well, depending on how hard or how much you want to improve the security posture. And so if you think about the threats of security threats are always going to change and adapt, and you need an organization to understand what those threats are going to be. We're using agentic AI today to deliver that for you, with the human in the loop to make sure that you've got that context. But also now you've got the concierge security team who are also now working with you to customize and to improve your security posture. So whilst we're doing the detection and response stuff down here to make sure that we're stopping a small fire from becoming a big fire in terms of threats and activity from a hacker perspective, what we're also then doing is proactively working with you to tune and improve your organization through spiders. So this could be improving your password quality, or maybe it might be a zero trust networking, or it might be migrating to 365, or it might be hardening your Azure estate, or whatever it may be. These concierge engineers have been there, they've done it before, and they will inject that knowledge and skill set into your organization. And so the idea is, over time, over the period of the contract, we are always adapting and ebbing and flowing with the threat landscape, but also we are always minimizing the cyber risk of the organization by not just covering the reactive cybersecurity, but also thinking and working on the proactive cybersecurity for you as well. And so for us, it's about focusing on your security outcome. So we work in conjunction with HB Tech, your expert security provider, and we are here delivering that concierge experience directly into your organization as a trusted security partnership. So here at ArcticWolf, it's all about how you can help end cyber risk. And you end cyber risk by focusing on how do you reduce the frequency of the cyber attack? And then if the cyber attack does happen, and it will happen, how do you reduce the severity, the blast radius, stopping that small fire from becoming the big fire? So really for us to reduce the frequency, it's about shifting left, training your users with security awareness, vulnerability management and attack service management, about having an incident response plan and actually building a retainer to make sure that you've got that coverage. That's what proactive security is all about. But if you want to start somewhere, you need to start on the reactive cybersecurity. And that's having good endpoint security and cloud security. It's about having a detection and response capability to be able to spot those emerging threats in your organization, and having an incident response plan and a provider on retainer to be able to help you with that threat should the worst happen. And you couple both of those together. And when you do couple them together, that's what helps you reduce the frequency and the severity of a cyber attack. All right. So John, I want to bring you in, please, if I may.
I'm still here. Thanks, Nick. That was both informative and terrifying. So, which is good. That's what we're aiming for. I think going back to your original slide, or one of your very early slides, is one of the things I've learned being in IT for quite a long time is that if you're not progressing and developing your cybersecurity, then you're really going backwards. Or if you're standing still, you're really going backwards. So, and so that's the journey that we typically like to take clients through in terms of their security. So if you can click the button, please. So typically we start with Cyber Essentials. So Cyber Essentials for us it's the absolute bare minimum that any organization should be looking for. And so Cyber Essentials, if you've not come across it, it's a government-backed scheme, and it essentially says if you follow some basic processes, then you are 90-something% less likely to have a cyber breach. So those processes include things like having firewalls. And if you go back actually 10, 15 years, most clients, most businesses didn't have firewalls. Now everyone has them. That's part of what I say. You need to be moving forward in order to not stand still. So have firewall secure configuration. So what that means is making sure that devices don't have unused software or unused accounts on them. Secure update management. So what that means is that all of your software installed is current and supported. So hence why I'll give you an example of that. So Windows 10 went end of life last October. We started telling clients the October before that you need to be getting off Windows 10 because it's not going to be getting any more patches, and that's a security risk. So and then access control. So that's just making sure, for example, that users don't have admin rights, that you have separate admin accounts, you have long and unique passwords, you have two-factor authentication implemented. So again, two-factor authentication, something that if you go back 10 years, a lot of people didn't have two-factor authentication. Now everyone has it. It's a default by Microsoft as of, I think it was about 3 years ago now that Microsoft made that a default. You had to have it in Office 365. That's just part of that ongoing ongoing development. And making sure you have malware. So that's essentially what you need for Cyber Essentials. Whether you do the certification or not, it doesn't really matter. That for us is the absolute bare minimum as an organization that you should be working towards. Business Premium, if you can click, please. So Business Premium. So by default, a lot of clients have Business Standard. So Business Standard will give you your Word and Excel and Outlook and a mailbox and SharePoint and OneDrive and Teams. Business Premium gives you all that, but it does give you a whole load of extra security features. And so those features include Intune and Entra. So Intune is around device management, Entra is around people management, and then you combine the two to give you conditional access. And conditional access says, well, if you know the person in your organization and you know the devices in your organization, you can create rules around those that say, for example, a user is only allowed to log in to a device which is owned by your organization. So it stops people being able to log in from anywhere else in the world on any other device in the world. Purview allows us to lock down and create policies around data within SharePoint. There's a whole load of other bits and pieces like safe links and safe attachments and anti-phishing and malware and spam and what have you. These are all features which, when you deploy them, they will ensure that, or they limit the ability for people to access your data or misuse your data. And then from our point of view, we use another product called Enforcer, which sits on top of that. And that once we set those policies up, we use Enforcer to ensure that those policies are actually adhered to. So, and then next one. And then we move on finally to MDR, and that's what Nick's been talking about for the last 45 minutes. That's having someone 24/7 monitoring every single thing that happens in your organization. So, or every single signal that comes out of the services and the equipment that you use in your organization. So we use Arctic Wolf internally. I think I'm right in saying that we generate about 2 million signals a week. I think that's roughly about what we produce. And so all of those signals go off to Arctic Wolf, and then they are monitored and triaged. And then I don't think, we've had one notification, I believe, which was when we were doing some testing. So we know they're watching, so we know it works. So, but that's the progression that we would typically take clients through. You've got to start with the basics of getting your stuff set up correctly with your devices and users, and then we can add some more security through Business Premium, and then finally we move on to the MDR, where all of that is monitored 24/7. And I suspect, we're sort of relatively, in the world that we work in, so we typically work with businesses and charities up to 150 users. I would say we're probably a little bit early to Arctic Wolf compared to some of those other MSPs around us. But I think realistically, in the same way that no one had a firewall, or very few people had firewalls 10, 15 years ago, I suspect in the next 2, 3, 5 years that everyone will end up on an MDR service like Arctic Wolf. So, because you've got to be on it and you've got to keep progressing in order to not be falling behind. So and not be subject to what did you say? One of the worst days in your organization. Is that right, Nick?
Yeah, exactly that, or month, or multiple months. And I think it's the big thing is the cyber resilience bill that's coming in this year. If you are, because that will affect anyone that's a small and medium business or an MSP or a mid-sized organization. If you do business with anyone that's in the supply chain to critical national infrastructure, or into any industry vertical that could be critical national infrastructure, you are then required to be compliant to the cyber resilience bill. And a lot of that is all around being compliant with Cyber Essentials, yes, but also having the monitoring and the incident response and all this kind of cyber posture hygiene that we've talked about today. So whether we like it or not, the majority of mid-sized organizations in the UK are going to need to be compliant to the upcoming regulation standards that happen in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing I'll just probably pick up on top of that is, I think it's easy to look at these things and think, oh, this is not for us because we're only a small organization. But exactly as you said early on, I mean, it's much easier to hack into a smaller organization than go for the JLRs and the Harrods and co-ops of the world, and these organizations are running as businesses specifically to do that. So don't think because you've got less than 100 users that you're immune. It's quite the opposite, actually. You're definitely a target. So yeah, and that's what we work towards. So that's it. I don't think we've got any questions in the Q&A. So I think it's probably testament to how thorough you've been, Nick. So it's been excellent. So firstly, thank you to Nick, the most important thing. So for delivering a great presentation. If anyone has any questions, then please do let us know. We'll be doing a follow-up after this anyway. And then keep safe. Thank you very much for attending. Bye, everyone.